年推出当时就号称是全球速度最快的车，0到60 3.7秒。Tesla Roadster Generation 1今年停产10周年，我们就要来看到当年的这一群车主后来爱车被 Tesla 放生之后，变成了莫逆之交。疫情以来，美国人虽然减少外出，不过交通事故的死亡人数却是2007年以来最多的。在2022年第一季，跟交通相关的死亡人数比去年同期增加了44%，是美国人爱开快车不要命，还是道路规则到底出了什么问题？电动车跑得快，而且还可以当赛车哦。稍后我们要来看前阵子造访纽约证交所的 McLaren 电动越野车，外形啪哩啪哩，但是设计概念包括了两性平权，真是帅呆了。欢迎收看全球聊天室，我是 Jasmine 刘晨曦。我们一说到 Elon Musk， 大家呢总会想到3个关键字，一个呢是 Twitter， 一个是 Tesla。还有呢 ，SpaceX。那今天我们要看到的是 Tesla， 因为他们旗下的一个代表作。等一下，让我来呼叫一下我的爱车。没错，就是这个号称是全球速度最快的 Tesla Roadster Generation 1，今年是停产10周年了。10年之后 ，Tesla Roadster 要推出第2代，继续号称这是全球速度最快的车子。然后我们也顺便看一下10年前的 Elon Musk 长什么样子呢？好，当时的他啊，跟现在的样子，好像真的是差蛮远的哦。所以看得出来啊，现在虽然是一个大叔，比较胖一点点，只是呢，当时的宅味好像也真的没有什么变哦，10年来都是一样的。那么呢，说到这一辆车 Tesla Roadster 1呢，在2008年，电动车从0到60，它只要3.7秒，这样一个数字在2008年是不是超级厉害的呢？不过呢，厉害呢是一回事，后来这款车它出现一个问题，那就是几乎没有在管车主的维修保养的，甚至后来他还直接把车主给放生了，让车主们感到呢非常 kimoji warui， 感觉超差的。但正因为如此呢，反倒让车主们串联起来互助会，他们成为全世界最特别的一群车友。我们现在就一起来看看目前全世界硕果仅存的大约1200辆车，这些车主都是哪一些人？他们又怎么处理他们的爱车呢？
High-end sports car, faster than a Ferrari, faster than a Lamborghini. Nothing compared to this.
0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. It's fun from the moment you turn on the key.
It's like being shot out of a slingshot.
Any place I'd go, they put it in front. They'd move the Ferrari out and put the Roadster in front of the restaurant.
What's that car in space? It's a Tesla Roadster.
The first time I hit the accelerator pedal, I couldn't tell if I was in the future or the past. This is the car that made the dream happen.
The technology has reinvigorated the automobile industry.
2008年的车坛大事就是它，总共只造了2500辆。这一批车子在当时被视为是造车界的转捩点，它更证明电动车可以很性感、很能跑，而且非常受到科技圈、影视娱乐名人的喜爱。
If you look at the client list of Tesla Roadsters, they were the who's who of the world.
The Google founders bought them, and the first few hundred of these were in parking lots at Microsoft and Google and Facebook.
This car used to belong to the lead council of Microsoft. That was one of the original Microsoft 11 cars. The yellow car here belonged to one of the guys who helped create the iPad. The blue one here belonged to Sam Simon, the co-founder of The Simpsons TV show. This orange one here belonged to David Vaskovich, ex-CTO of Microsoft. If you ever watched the TV show Bewitched, this car belongs to Tabitha. Her name is Erin Murphy.
The group of Tesla owners, especially the Roadster owners, it's a fraternity of sorts. We're not just here to own a car, we're here to support Tesla, support the EV movement.
They really have a passion for not just the cars themselves, but the other owners. It's kind of a big family almost.
I've been a part of the Tesla community for probably 7, 8 years. Other Tesla owners were always open to talking, helping. It's like we're a part of a movement. The Roadster community
一辆车代表的是相同的财富地位，相同的独特品味。很多人会用有爱这2个字形容对于某事物的超级热忱，但是对这群人来说，这2个字可能不足以形容他们对这辆车的爱，因为在当时，他们买下的不只是这辆车子本身，还有对未来科技的信仰，那种形于外的未来代言人的味道，还有的人是在特斯拉股票每股22块美元的时候买下了这辆车。
In the early days, we had this expression we call Tesla time. Whenever you went someplace, you had to add some Tesla time because there were going to be people there asking questions.
Like when you buy a car like this, you have to expect to talk to strangers in parking lots. It's just part of the experience.
We spent a lot of time educating the public about Teslas and Roadsters in particular. We were very much advocates, ambassadors, even evangelists for the car.
但是后来呢，事情出了一些变化。某种程度上，特斯拉当年没有处理好跑车车主跟他们的爱车 ，Roadster 跟车主们的尊荣感就消失了。最后呢，就是被放生了。至于原因呢，就是后来行销全球的 Model S。
Tesla sort of slowly lost the memory of these cars.
Tesla didn't keep their word when it came to the quality of service. The Roadster owners were abandoned. A lot of them sold their cars because they just couldn't get service.
I don't know a single Roadster owner who takes their Roadster to Tesla, the company that made the damn car.
接下来一连串与 Roadster 有关的负面新闻，尤其是工厂失火，让车主们难过极了。但同时，车主们意识到另外一件事，就是再这样下去，这辆车快要濒临绝种了，估计全球可能只剩下1500辆。这个时候，事情出现了变化，有人能够拯救这批硕果仅存的老古董。
When Carl first left Tesla and opened up his own shop, it was big news. Most of the Tesla Roadster owners would continue a service or two with Tesla, and then it all started just moving over to Carl's shop.
People just started sending us their cars from all over.
All over the United States, Canada, we've got cars that are being put on containers coming over here from Europe and China.
He knows more about these cars than anyone else out there.
Early on at Tesla, we got to work directly with the engineers who developed some of these systems. And so we got a knowledge that others didn't get.
I actually helped write the shop manual for this car, and the reality is there are no diagnostics. Everything I do here is in my head. This is my nemesis right here. This car has a very abnormal problem where you can disconnect everything in the system and the water pump still runs. So it's got a wire shorted to power, and I just haven't found it yet. I buy stuff every day from people who have bought these cars and have a little something on their shelf. I could buy a parts car, and I did, for $5 grand 3 years ago. I could buy a parts car for $10,000. I bought one for $15,000, and those were cars that were complete. Now I'm buying cars that are missing from the windshield forward for 40 grand. This car right here has been 767, was originally sold here in Seattle. I bought it at the auction for $43,000 for a parts car, which sounds crazy, but the battery's worth $25,000, the PEM's worth $10,000, all the suspension. This is a $4,000 trunk, $1,000 bumper, $2,000 trunk box.
除了自己动手做的逆向工程，卡尔也会收购零件车。他拆下有用的东西，成为修补用的零件。因为来自原厂物料只会越来越少。以卡尔的角色在台湾修车圈的行话，就是工程师副厂。但是卡尔有多厉害呢？影响所及，甚至还会接到来自原厂工程师的求助电话。
We've had a few Tesla service centers call us up that have never seen one of these things before. And one of them actually said, look, we don't know anything about the Roadster, so we're just going to send it to you. This is the brains of the Tesla Roadster. It's the PEM, Power Electronics Module. It handles all of the drive functions. These parts are incredibly hard to find, and they're not easy to replicate. To make this board specifically, to reverse engineer is about 60 grand. This is the inside of a sheet. Each one of these plates denotes a series, so you got a positive and negative. There's little bond wires here, and it's what actually is what the voltage goes through.
There's 6,831 cells in one of these batteries. Any one of them can short and cause a problem. You have to know how to find it. You would think that this toolbox would be full of tools. It is not. It's full of electronics. This is old tech when it comes to electric cars, but it's still high tech for auto repair. Eventually this will be standard, but there's going to be a lot fewer because electric cars break a lot less.
The good news is nobody died and my car's worth more. The top's good. If I ever need a new top. So this one's totaled.
I haven't told the owner yet, but there's a dent in the frame right there. And with that dent, they're gonna make me total it.
Yeah, they will.
This car just left here 4 months ago.
It's a rough 4 months. Wow, that's frightening. But it's also encouraging that, you know, a wreck this bad is survivable if you're in a good car.
只要保养得宜，再过几年，也就是当车主手上的 Roadster 年份满20岁的时候，就足以跨入经典老车的门槛。这个时候，这车只要还能顺顺的开上路，它就不是等闲之辈，而且还会身价暴涨，车主的财富地位也会显而易见于众人眼前。
The difficulty of buying a Roadster was overwhelming. For 2020 and most of 2021, the transactions were a listing that either got sold within an hour of being listed or a day.
So the values now have gone from $40,000 2 years ago to $150,000, $130,000, depending on the car that you have. Recently, one is sold for $182,000, another one sold for $190,000.
We started seeing that median price jump from $68,000 to I think about $112,000, $114,000, but with some really amazing examples of auction prices in the $200,000, $250,000 range, and that tells you when a car has really arrived. People do look at them as investments, and the best part about it is they're fun. It's you can't take your stock portfolio out for a drive, you can't take your Bitcoin out for a drive, but you can take the Tesla Roadster out for a drive.
I looked in my rearview mirror and the person behind me has got their phone up taking a picture of my car. This car is special, and it still looks special.
People who come up and say, well, that's a weird looking sports car, what is that? And they say it's a Tesla, and they say, I've seen Teslas, they don't look like that. Is it their new sports car? It's like, no, it was the first Tesla. You get all kinds of reactions from people.
届时这些老车就会更加的值钱，可能从4万美元的身价涨至13到15万美元。当然，价格得视车况而定。它最终将会成为收藏车，因为特斯拉是第一家电动车专门公司，而 Roadster 是第一辆真正的电动汽车。这部车本身，它就是电动车历史活生生的纪念品。
Roadster 在2012年停产，不过这一年还发生了很多震撼全球的事情，足以影响10年后的今天，像是江南大师的 Gangnam Style 骑马舞、iPhone 5的开卖，还有中国换了新的领导人，这个世界真的是10年河东，10年河西。你今年有要抢搭报复性出游热潮，出国去过暑假吗？如果去美国开车要特别小心哦，尤其是各地的速限，经常被美国人自己骂到不行。路上没有车就超速的习惯，导致2021年美国的交通事故死亡人数以创纪录的速度在激增，其中超速占的比例很高。稍后回来，我们要来看美国的道路速限是出了什么问题。欢迎回到全球聊天室。美国国家道路交通安全管理局 NHTSA 统计显示了，疫情以来，美国人虽然减少外出，但是交通事故的死亡人数却是2007年以来最多的。我们现在来看一下这样一个数字了。以纽约为例，这是来自纽约市警察局的资料。数据显示了，这个行人占所有死亡人数呢有近一半。59名的死者当中，行人就占了29名。在2022年的第一季，跟交通相关的死亡人数比去年同期还增加了有44%。好，我们接着看到，这值得关注的就是2021年纽约市的肇事逃逸，并且导致重伤的案件数量是2018年的2倍。我们看到2018年呢，共计有46起的肇逃，但是呢，一路我们看到2021年一共呢就来到了93起，所以真的是马路如虎口，行人当心走，尤其呢在繁忙的大都市。那么疫情封城的措施使得道路的车辆减少，虽然说减低了塞车问题，道路更加的顺畅，但是很多人呢因为道路太过顺畅了，他们就毛起来开快车，这反而变多了。那么车辆的限速措施到底哪里出错了呢？最近在美国国内掀起了一阵热烈的讨论。
开车千万别乱超速，因为这会死人的。2019年有9478名美国人因为超速而丧命，这占当年所有交通事故死亡人数的1/4以上。美国国家公路交通安全管理局更估计，与超速有关的车祸每年带来的经济损失超过400亿美元。但问题是，有些事情不光只是因为钱。
I think we don't really think about this issue. I started speaking out because it was horrific to bury your child, and I would not want this to happen to anyone else.
这是科恩太太，她儿子就是死于车祸。出事的当天，她的孩子本来是要去打球的，结果在人行道上被车撞死了。所以科恩太太就组成了一个游说团体，目的就是防止更多同类型，像是科恩太太这样的惨案。但问题是，每年却有数以百万计的美国人继续的超速驾驶。
A lot of that is just part of our culture, right? We have a culture of basically driving, of sort of trying to achieve the speed limit as a target rather than a limit. And maybe even, it's fine if I go 10 miles or so above the speed limit, like nobody's going to ticket me.
People drive the way the road is built, that's what happens, and doing anything else in terms of speed limits is just simply wasting your time.
The first thing to keep in mind is that a lot of people think that speed limits have a linear or sort of like direct relationship to severity of crashes. In fact, that's just not true. A person hit by a car traveling at 35 miles per hour is 5 times more likely to die than a person hit by a car traveling at 20 miles per hour.
有些专家认为，反正只要开慢一点，致死率就会降低。研究还表明，限速高低与交通死亡人数之间存有很强的关联性。最高时速仅增加5英里，导致高速公路上的死亡人数增加8.5%，在其他道路上的死亡人数增加2.8%。这听起来很有说服力耶。
One of those tools, one of those very important tools to eliminating the bloodshed on our roads is lowering our speed limits. It's proven to work. I mean, we need to take a data-driven approach and put in place the solutions that save lives.
那讲到速限，一定要先搞懂85百分位行车速率。这什么意思呢？就是说，道路上的某一个特定速率，有85%的车辆是在这个速率范围之内，但是还有15%的车辆是超过这个速率的。而这又是怎么定出来的呢？
The 85th percentile is a tool used by traffic engineers to give them a starting point for setting speed limits. And it's defined as the speed below which 85% of drivers are already going on the road. So where they go out and they take speed measurements on the road for a couple days, and then they say, okay, what speed are 85% of these people going at or below? And that's where we'll start, because that's what we think of as what drivers consider to be a safe speed.
但问题是，研究机构发现，法律虽然是这么写的，但是每个地方政府实际落地执行起来手法好像不太一样。像是街道是拥挤还是忙碌，用路人都是哪些人，这些都会真正影响到规范道路速限的准则。但最后的结果嘞，就会变成说，那还是驾驶人自己管自己开爽的就好了。而且到后来呢，还有更糟的呢。
If you raise the speed limit to the 85th percentile, most people will stick around that. What we've seen is that 15% that tends to be above that. When you raise the speed limit, they're the ones who typically jump up to an even higher speed, and those are the guys that are causing crashes. So that is the big problem with the 85th percentile.
大家都以为给一个低的速限，驾驶人就会开得比速限更低，但结果根本就不是啊！联邦公路管理局对此进行了一份很长期的研究，结果就是标志上的速限数字其实对人们真正的驾驶速度几乎是没有影响啊。
Studies have shown very clearly that drivers choose their speed, and when I say choose their speed, I mean they react to their environment. And so they travel at a speed at which they feel safe and comfortable based on the design of the road, the type of vehicle they're traveling in, and also, the development around that road and what's going on the road at that particular moment in time.
Speed limit should be set based on the setting that the road is located within, rather than sort of, decades of practice about highway rule setting. So in a typical urban environment, we should not be thinking, oh yeah, let's set our speed limits at, let's start with 55 and say, should we go up or down from there? Or even let's start with, some rule that again is based on highway research. We actually should be setting our speed limits in urban areas for urban settings. And that's just not the way that we do it now.
其实除了速限，还有一些其他手段可以直接影响驾驶人开慢一点，像是避免盖出一条又长又直的道路，所以在道路的设计上可以增加一些弯曲，或者是颠簸的跳动路面，又或者是把车道设计的窄一点，让空间变狭窄，就让这条路变得不太好开，驾驶人自动就会把车速放慢下来了。因为小心减速慢行这些方式在美国统称为车辆减速带。
What we've seen is that long, straight, flat roads tend to lead to increased speeds because it just feels so safe. One thing we can do is make those roads less straight, build in some curvature to it in order to sort of force people to slow down.
交通安全的未来取决于人们到底有多么关心，并且必须要做出改变。所以下一次听到前有测速照相的时候，请一定要放慢车速，小心驾驶哦。
电动车跑得快，而且还可以当赛车哦。稍后我们要来看前阵子造访纽约证交所的 McLaren 电动越野车，外形啪哩啪哩，但是设计概念还包含了两性平权，真的是帅呆了。欢迎回到全球聊天室。最近这1-2年，电动车话题可以说是彻底摆脱了跑不快的印象了。除了先前提到 Tesla， 还有一台也是跑得很快，而且非常酷的，那就是 McLaren 的纯电动越野车。好，一讲到电动越野车，可能大家都会觉得这是一种专属于男性的活动，但其实不然。McLaren 的 CEO 他强调，在设计初始的时候，就把女性驾驶的元素给考虑进去。男人可以开，女人当然也可以开，因为设计这辆车的工程师呢本身就是女性。同时呢，这驾驶这辆车参与各种国际赛事的驾驶，她也是一位女性，所以这一辆能够体现女力崛起还有两性平权概念的电动车，我们一起来看。
It's really cool. It's a new series. It's in its second year, our first year in it. Races 5 different locations around the world, all where climate has impacted. So it's kind of our job, the racing series job, to bring awareness to global climate situation. These are EV-powered vehicles, and there's also a gender equality. Yeah, there you go. Men and women driving. So we really like the sustainability around it, the gender equality. It's called the Odyssey. It's a 4-wheel drive. It's battery powered. It runs, as you can tell, on quite interesting terrain, from snow to mountains. It's quite rugged, very fast. Lots of torque for those of you that follow motor racing. So a lot of power, and I think we're breaking new ground here.
Range, things like that. Top speed.
So the short races, they get about 130 miles an hour because they're constantly kind of in the air. So it's not about ultimate pace. It's about durability and rugged environment. And what you have is either the male or female driver starts, does 2 laps around this fascinating location, and then swaps. And then it's the overall time that's the winner.
没错，现在既然连国际赛车项目，而且是非常高难度的越野车，都有电动车的存在了。过去这2年，除了疫情，你一定也感受到了电动车的热潮。我们回顾从 Tesla Roadster1在2008年开始发售，直到今天这一刻，中间经历了14年，科技急速的发展，的确让人们的生活变得非常不一样。感谢您收看今天的全球聊天室，每一天我们都会为您搜集来自全世界的焦点话题。我是 Jasmine 刘晨曦，我们下次见。